102.3 Abuja.
Something now.
It's the bomb, yo. Wake up and don't sleep on a bicycle.
Next.
This is Eagles Morning Rise, where you get inspired, updated, talk sports, and discuss topical national issues. All served hot, like coffee.
Yummy.
This is gonna be the best day of my life.
Eagles Morning Rise with
Natural Prince.
6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Every weekday on your number one radio experience. You can count on Eagles 102.3 FM.
Good morning. Thank you so much for staying with us on your radio experience. You can count on Eagles 102.3. It's about 6 minutes gliding down 9 o'clock. It's time for Eagles Outlook, where we discuss topical national issues that affect us as a people. Now, have you heard that the FIRS is looking to formalize the informal sector, tax them, bring them into the tax net. The World Bank and the likes have, advised Nigeria to expand the tax net. All the economists have said that as well. But then many people are asking, what's the purpose of taxing citizens? Wouldn't it be to improve their lives and provide infrastructure and the likes? If we haven't done that over time, if we've not been able to do that over time, why tax the people? If the people are already providing, basic amenities for themselves, why tax them? And so, we'll be looking at this and other political and economic, directions of the Tinubu administration. My guest will be Professor LAWAL, who's going to be joining us from Osun State. He's going to be joining us this morning via the phone, and we hope to have a pretty interesting conversation. Now, those of you who are not aware, what this means is that the local market woman would be taxed. What this means as well is that if you have a shot at, it will be technology driven. There was a statement by the director of the FIRS speaking on how they hope to achieve this. We'll be looking at this amongst other economic issues in the course of the program. Feel free to be a big part of it this morning, joining with your 2 cents. Where we open up the phone lines by simply calling 09073530044 and 09087668888. You can send SMS and WhatsApp messages to 09097054450. Again, 09097054450. I'd have my guest join us this morning. My guest, by the way, is Professor LAWAL, who is an economic professor with the university in Osun State. He's going to be joining us this morning in this interesting conversation. Well, Professor Adedoyin LAWAL is a research professor of economics, Bowen University in Iwo, Osun State, Nigeria. Good morning, Prof. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Right, it seems like Professor cannot hear us. Let's hope that we get this sorted out so that we can actually get to hear him. In the meantime, just keep it with us.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Has anyone told you you can talk about your business on radio for just 15,000 naira? Get a chance to talk your business for 25 minutes.
This is your radio experience you can count on. And I have my guest joining us this morning. Professor Adedoyin LAWAL is joining us this morning as we, have this conversation. Is joining us all the way from Iwo, Osun State, and seems like we still have difficulty getting to connect with my guest this morning. Let's see what plays out now. Let's see. Okay, seems like would have to reconnect this. Sometimes the network just does you a difficult one. Anyway. Okay. Prof, can you hear me now? Hello, Prof, can you hear me? Okay, so let's get into it. Prof, good morning again. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk about, the economy as we've seen it in the last couple of weeks, the trajectory of the Tinubu administration and how it's going. Starting off with one of the first things that the Tinubu administration did was to declare the removal of fuel subsidies. How do you think this has come across, and what do you think make of the decisions made by the Tinubu administration as regards, fuel subsidy removal and all of it? And then we'll talk about the floating of the naira, the foreign exchange, especially when the INE window. What do you make of those?
See, money shows the day, choice shows the man. Let me begin by saying that Tinubu's decision to remove fuel has been generally given a welcome. Has been generally welcomed by virtually all the parties, all the players in the Nigerian economy. But that is without a cost. There are consequences to that. You recall that the oil sector in Nigeria is before now characterized with a lot of rent seeking, a lot of scam that one cannot actually explain the magic or miracle, the mystery behind the oil subsidy. It was more or less the most corrupt sector in the Nigerian economy. Now, with the removal of oil subsidy, yes, every one of us is feeling the pain. Though it's a good movement, we're moving towards the right direction, but that is without consequences. There are a lot of consequences. One is hike in cost of transportation, and then with that one, it will follow by inflation. You agree with me that before now, the last official report of inflation in Nigeria was about 23 to 24%. And then that was before the subsidy removal. With the subsidy removal now, by the time the NBS will release the official rate, I think their projection that it will be around 30 or even more than that. Come with about between 34 to 40% unemployment rate. So the miserable index in the real time will be more than 82%. But there are some things, there are two kind of pain in life. There's pain of discipline and pain of regret. I think the pain Nigerians are going through now is pain of discipline. We just need to take the bold step by addressing this thing once and for all. But I believe that if this process is properly managed, it's just a matter of time. Nigeria will come out of it and we're going to enjoy it. As for unification of the currency, the exchange rate regime, before now we have two main point regime. We have the official and parallel markets, and there's a lot of wide gap, more than 3 wide differential between official and parallel markets. And then if you observe, you agree with me that even the official window is not easily available to persons. So that's why we have a blossom black market, which the persons that have access to official window patronize. They just for you buy, get from the official window and go and sell the black market. And then because of that one, is having negative consequences on polity. Now, with the bold step of Mr. President to unify, to have a unified exchange regime, here you observe that the market react to it positively. All our indices became green. All of a sudden, the market anticipated this all this while, and it takes a leader. It takes strong political will to take those steps that Tinubu has taken. However, we must not just praise him without calling his attention that there's need for him. It's one thing for you to bring policy change, personnel, like removing the central bank governor, introduce a unified exchange rate regime. We need more of institutional reform. We need more of institutional reform such that even when we are bringing policies, we have a solid institutions that not that we have, God forbid, that we have somebody like a Mifile again that will come up and then drive us back into the previous year. But Tinubu needs to work more on institutionalize our institutions, so that we have strong institutions, and that anybody that comes in, not that we're going to have strong men with institutions, but we should have strong institutions, and anybody that comes in can run it effectively.
All right, let's talk about this, because many Nigerians are not, while many Nigerians have accepted and welcomed the subsidy removal, they're also concerned about the fact that it's been 30 days after over 30 days after the subsidy removal, over a month after subsidy removal, and then there hasn't been palliatives or anything to cushion the effects of subsidy removal. So what people say is, if you're removing, what you term as a scam, then you should be putting in place something that's, that also aids them, because many Nigerians believe that subsidy payment was the only thing that they got from government. Looking at it, there's hardly any other thing that government provides Nigerians. And we're also talking about widening the tax net and taking more taxes. Just yesterday, we saw last week, the vehicle ownership, proof of ownership certificate, 1,000 naira tax on car owners, and we're also looking at taxing market people and paying VAT in the marketplace and all that stuff. Nigerians are saying this is a lot of burden on the economy. There's even a chance that the middle class might be completely wiped out. There's no middle class at the moment. It seems like everyone is poor. If you're not super rich, then you're just poor. What does this mean for ordinary Nigerians, and especially looking at the purpose of tax? The purpose of taxation would be to provide amenities and infrastructure for the country and for citizens. When these infrastructure and facilities are being provided for by the ordinary citizen, what's the point of taxing them? Looking at the fact that Nigerians provide electricity for themselves, they provide water for themselves, even access roads sometimes they provide for themselves, to the point of security. So what then is the need for taxing more people?
Okay, thank you. Let me start by saying tax. If you look at the man Tinubu himself, looking at his citizens in Lagos, you know that the man is the president is more of a tax man. He likes to raise revenue by increasing tax, and during his campaign, he campaigned on that what he did in Lagos, he was coming to Abuja to come and replicate that, and then at a national scale. So you should expect something from him, that there will be an adjustment in our tax regime. However, we should understand that though the government is, clamoring that we should increase our tax base, we should increase our tax net, but if you observe what Nigerians are paying in terms of implicit tax, you are, just like you rightly mentioned, you are the one that get your own water, you are the one that generates your own electricity, you are the one that generates your own security. So these are things that fall under the purview of government. Government ordinarily should provide all these amenities, all these facilities for us. But with in situation, we find ourselves that Nigerians are the one that provides all these facilities for ourselves. I don't think the tax regime should be overstretched. First of all, before we talk about tax now, let's talk about palliative. Are you going to cushion the effect of this sudden subsidy removal from the people? Recall in the year 2012, when the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, attempted to remove fuel subsidy. It was the likes of APC, the likes of the current president, the likes of the immediate president, Buhari, the likes of Tunde Bakari and the likes, that, moved against Goodluck Jonathan. And, they were so, the whole thing was so politicized, so that the then government had to step down. And what was their argument? They were clamoring that there should be palliative, there should be revisiting, the minimum wage should be revisited, that is, salary should be jacked up, and then there should be all manner of cushion effect before such policy will be implemented. And the then government listened to them. However, when the current government now, Tinubu himself, came on board, he does not consult all those wide consultations. He just announced it. that subsidy is gone. So that tells you that, well, yes, why we salute him for having political courage, the political will to announce subsidy removal by now, since he told us that he was going to eat the ground running on assumption of office. We believe that all the policy paper, because this is a man that prepared to be president of Nigeria for more than 30 years. All the policy documents, all the palliative documents, all the palliative regime supposed to have been in place now. As he was announcing subsidy exit, he should be introducing those things. Not that you have announced before. Not that you make an announcement and then you start thinking of, okay, how we go to cushion the effect of these things on the people. So on that one, why I score him high? Why I will score him high in removing subsidy? I will score him not too good in lagging in introducing palliative or cushion effect, because the economy is biting hard. Seriously, as a matter of fact, you said the middle class is fast eroding. You hardly find middle class persons in Nigeria now. Either you are rich or poor, and the number of, like according to the World Bank now, I think about 100 million Nigerians are poor now, extreme poor, because of this policy alone, a number about 4 million thereabouts are pushing to poverty within this short period of time. So that tells you that the government, in terms of removing fuel subsidy, in terms of adopting unified exit regime, here we score them high there. But when it comes to palliative and then slow in responding to people's demand, in responding to hardship, government to me seems too slow for my liking.
Now, let's talk about the taxation some more. So the FIRS is launching the VAT or the VAT Direct Initiative, which is in partnership with MATAN, which is the Market Traders Association of Nigeria, to be able to collect VAT from market people, and then, using technology. The confusion now for the ordinary person, we've been talking about multiple taxation, which is, stifling businesses in the country. If we want to achieve this, what happens to the other taxes that market women pay or market people pay? You have people who go to the market in the morning, and you have these boys come around, collecting taxes from them in the morning, sometimes, in the afternoon, to just come around and take taxes from these people. How do we reconcile this and ensure that we're not putting so much strain on the small businesses or even micro businesses that exist in our economy?
Yeah, well, that one is easy. Automation. Now, if you observe, let me just take you to Edo under the current Obaseki administration. During his first tenure, before he came on board, persons in charge of tax and fare at parks and gardens and marketplaces were the Agbero boys. When he came, he drove all of them away and made the whole thing automated system. And I can tell you, that's why the states, you could recall that most of all these immediate deficiencies were first of all, identified by Obaseki. You could see that Obaseki seems to be a sound manager of economy when it comes to. So I believe that if the government wants to address this issue of corruptions and then reading the tax sector, let there be automation, reduce man's or woman intervention in the tax system to the minimum, such that everyone, and then then it's going to be a win-win thing, because the populace will be able to trace easily how much comes into the government, and we're able to trace easily how much is being reported. So, and then once you know how much is being made, you could be able to challenge the government that you made this so amount of money. How far have we gone, Jazan, in terms of providing amenities? You recall that the 2023 general election in Lagos, some of these are some of the factors that played. When one of the campaign matter of campaign strengths of Tinubu was that he met Lagos with 600 million, and then as at today, as at 2022, 2023, Lagos was generating 52 billion a month or thereabout. And the question is, you are generating 52 billion a month. What have you been doing with it? And the government have to come on board, try to explain to people that to manage waste, to manage this, and you see all this reflects in election. So I believe that if Nigerians start moving towards automation, automate our tax system, automate properly our electoral process, then everybody will be able to hold people accountable. And it won't be like, the Agbero boys. You find if you will need those persons the same way that Obaseki was able to put them in proper place in Lagos, in Edo State, the Nigerian system will also put them in proper place. But first of all, automate the tax regime so that everybody knows what comes in and will knows how much government is spending in terms of providing the necessary infrastructure.
Very well said. And
Thank you.
Let's get to the
Hello?
projections. I'm guessing you can hear me, Prof. Let's get to the projections. The World Bank is projecting that without palliatives, subsidy may hit 25% in 2023. In your, as a professional in this in economics, what do you think would be the most appropriate, palliatives to put in place to help cushion the effect of subsidy removal? The NLC is advocating an increase in in wages and salaries. Meanwhile, the other people are saying, look, most of the Nigerian population do not work with the civil service, and so they should not be talking about just increasing salaries or wages of workers. How about the people in the informal sector? How did they go about their businesses and surviving the removal of subsidy?
All right, thank you. First, I think we need to educate ourselves very well. The total population of federal civil servants in Nigeria is about 786,000 thereabouts, if my calculation is right, less than 1 million. But by the time we factor in those that work with state government, let's say an average of about 20,000. Some states have more than that. Some states big, like that are civil servants in these states like Kwara and stuff like that, they are more than that. And I think Lagos and some of these south states are much more like that. So let's say on an average that let's say we have about 2.5 million people who are civil servants across the three tiers of government: federal, states, and local governments. Now, you should also understand that when we're talking about when government increases minimum wage for the public worker, it also have impact on the private sector, because the private person that work in the private sector also will clamor for more increase in wages. So if government increase, and then up to the public sector's minimum wage scheme has always been the benchmark for the private sector as well. So increase in staff worker salary for the public sector will rub on the private sector as well. So invariably, the working class who are salary earners we have an increase, substantial increase in salary in terms of income. Now, the market reacts. The people in the formal sector, the market reacts to salary earners as well, because these are the persons that go to the market to go and buy. It is the salary that you and I, who are salary earners, earn that we used to make purchase from those who are not salary earners, but who are business persons. So, invariably, increase in salary will rub on will lead to increase in demand. That is because your ability to the purchasing power, the ability to demand, to make demand is increased. And if there's increase in demand, it rub on the markets. So invariably, every one of us, it's a snowball. There will be a snowball effect. It will, once civil servants' salary is increased, the private sector's salary also will be increased, and their demand, ability to demand, will increase, which will rub on the market. Now, so I will advocate for increase in minimum wage. However, government should not stop at that alone. If you observe, bulk of the persons, the main impact of increase in fuel price will be felt by the transport sector, because many, if you observe, most of the Ministry of Transportation uses PMS, except those ones that are cargo, lorries and stuff like that use diesel. Those ones that uses transport, that uses petrol, I think government should find a way of subsidizing the transport sector such that it will be affordable for common man. It could be, during Goodluck Jonathan introduced Trop, where there are some buses in major cities and towns across the federation. The government can revisit that and look for the challenges. Was there any form of proper management in those in the transport sector, in that one that that led to the collapse of Trop? Now let's see what we can do to revive it. This time around, to untimely then will not occur this time around. So I will advocate for one, increase the minimum wage, palliating the transport sector. Now the next thing is education. Education, yes, we thank God the government the president has signed into law the student loan regime. But beyond student loan, though I have issue with that student loan policy, but beyond student loan, there should be other things, that will encourage education, such that the Nigerian masses that have been thrown into poverty, whose purchasing power have been eroded because of fuel subsidy removal, because of high cost of inflation, because of increase in miserable index, and then on all those economic challenges, could find succor in education. Let secondary and primary education be free. The government have the capacity. In the West, in the civilized world, you don't pay. In fact, as a matter of fact, they pay you for sending your children to school. Nigeria have the resources to do that. But if you observe very well, in Nigeria, we have few persons who are richer than the economy, the entire Nigerian. Whereas in the West, we have more persons who are in middle class than the rich. But in Nigeria here, we have few persons that extremely rich, and we have many people that shock up. The government will find a cushion effect in education, invest in infrastructure, invest heavily in the transport sector. And with this thing now, the impact of sudden removal of subsidy will be minimized on the populace.
Very well, articulately put there. Now, let's quickly touch on, rice smuggling. We saw the past administration invest heavily in rice production in the country, but now we see that the Tinubu administration has allowed for, importation through the land borders, and many people are concerned about the smuggling, smuggling of rice into the country, which may paralyze the, growth recorded in the rice production value chain. What do you make of that, and how do you think it's going to affect the Nigerian economy going forward?
Now, I think we should start by, first of all, finding a way of deleting the last administration. Delete it from Nigerian experience. That last administration, there's not everything about them is fraud. They said they've achieved success in rice production. What was the bag of rice? What was the cost of bag of rice before they came in? What was the cost of bag of rice at the time they left office? So there's no data that they roll out. You understand that they're just self-defeating. So I don't believe that. I just believe that to me, as a social scientist, not as an economist right now, I see that maybe Nigeria offended God, and God sent that last administration to punish us, because there's nothing good about. Just check each of their policy one after the other. You begin to see errors, gaps. So whatever they said they achieved in rice sufficiency, just is a mirage that needs another theory to explain.
But then, as an economist, Prof, hold on. We've seen more investments in the rice value chain. Many millers have taken to, producing rice, cleaning up the rice and putting them out in the marketplace. We've seen people invest heavily in that sector. The Lagos state government currently is also, producing rice as a result of, even the anchor borrower scheme. As we see it, we can one can completely say that the last administration, failed in that regard. Can we now?
Hello. See, let's be realistic. What was the price of, with all these heavy investments that they claim to have made? What is the impact on the market? How much was a bag of rice? Let me help us. It was 7,000 at the time Jonathan left. Yet, Jonathan did not invest in rice. Yes. Jonathan did not invest in agriculture. Yes. Jonathan was a failure. That's why he was voted out. Yes. But how much was the price of rice at the time? They left about between 40 to 45,000. So you want to tell me that? Yes, we see all this announcement. The only one I would believe about their investment is that of Lagos. Other thing you began to see that if you take a critical look at whatever they've said, they announced. At a point they were building one rice pyramid, only for us to hear some few days later on that it was a scam. So, and then the basic thing that you can use to access this thing is, if you say you have this much rice produced, where is it? Which market are they selling them? If you have achieved that much in rice production, the normal conventional thing is that the price will fall. Why is it that the price is going up? Price has more than doubled.
Well, people argue that. Prof, if you can hear me, people argue to say that the reason the rice is expensive in the country is because those who mill the rice have to spend so much on providing electricity, running their machines to power the generators. They have to spend a lot of money, and so when the rice is moved to the milling stage, adding value to the rice makes it a little more expensive, and that's the argument there. And that's why the rice is more expensive in the market.
So if they say is the cost of value addition, that's why to go. What's the cost implication? We were using diesel. Then that means that the policy is faulty. Because on regular day, if you are bringing up a policy to cushion the fact that you have to close the land border because of this policy, and yet you cannot even compete within your local market. I'm not to talk of competing international market. You can't even take care of your local market. Not talk of competing. Those people bringing it from China, those people bringing it from Thailand. How to succeed to the level that they're able to feed their home economy and they're selling to us at a very much price. Yet our own local production that you say you are making, that's your success story. By the time you are selling to us about times 7. About 7%, because if price was about 7,000 before they came in, and they left about 40 between 35 to 70, between 35 to 45,000, you know the math. So when they want to talk about any other thing that they made success in, they should even mention rice. Rice to me is just like their ways and means scheme that they said. You even talked about that one. It's not a success story for them. It's not a success story for them. I don't want to look into that. But I believe that you see, if you observe very well the last administration, they lack proper economic coordination. The fiscal policy, the monetary policy, the trade policy, there's no proper coordination among them. But I think with the current president, he seems more prepared and he seems more coordinated. I believe that by the time he set up his cabinet, there will be more proper policy coordination among the major players in the economy, and I believe the economy will actually enjoy it if there's proper coordination. Unlike the previous administration, that the CBN governor come and say something, Minister of Finance come and say another thing, and you begin to imagine, where are we going? Thank you, sir.
Very well said. Let's bring in a callers. If you've been listening, join the conversation now. Call 090-7353-0044. That is 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. 090 087668888. You can send SMS and WhatsApp messages 2090-9705-4450. We've been talking about the Tinubu administration and its economic policy direction. My guest has been Professor Adedoyin LAWAL, who's joining us and sharing thoughts with us on this. He's a professor of economics, sharing his views on economic policies. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Honorable Stevie. I'm calling from Lugbe, Abuja.
Honorable Stevie.
Thank you very much. I want to applaud your guest there in the studio. In fact, the country is in comatose.
Okay, please put down the volume of your radio so that we can hear you. There's a big holdback.
Is it better now? Is it better now?
I can still hear the holdback. Please
I have off the radio.
Turn it off if possible.
Turn off the radio. Can I go on?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. One of my challenges is not getting prepared for leadership. Like your guest was saying, for 30 years, this government has been preparing to take over leadership. I have thought that in these 30 years, one could have planned very well, haven't been part of governance all this while. Because I permit me to say that the former administration failed us woefully. It's a total failure. Every policy, like he rightly said, I said it all. But the reality, honestly, is that even the person that is coming now is just coming and bringing in impromptu activities that is not palatable for the citizens. Please, what we are asking the government to do is to plan adequately and don't further give suffering and invoke more punishment on the citizens. I thank you for your program. Remain blessed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Stephen. Appreciate you calling in. Prof, you just heard Honorable Stephen and what he is saying about planning and effectively not, burdening Nigerians and, making life more difficult for the ordinary Nigerian.
What do you say?
I don't know.
I missed your point.
Did you hear the caller? Honorable
Yes,
Stevie. Now, how do you respond to that? He's saying that this administration should have planned better and not to inflict more pain on Nigerians. He agrees with you that the past administration may not have done so well, but this administration should not go on in that direction to also inflict more pain on Nigerians.
Yeah, we see, like I said the other time, why I salute the courage of the president. Tinubu. In fact, as a matter of fact, many of us does not believe that he was going to do some of the things he's doing now. But I see, I want us to exercise some patience in the sense that let's see the list of ministers. Let's see when he formed his cabinet properly. Let's see, because if he did not announce removal of subsidy as at the time he announced it, if he did not announce the unification of exchange rates as at the time he announced it, it might be difficult for him to suddenly remove them. Because looking at the antecedent of the previous administrations, Goodluck Jonathan, when Goodluck Jonathan announced it, initially people asked him, there was pressure on him and they removed it. When Buhari did even campaign that subsidy was a scam and that he will turn $1 to $1. By the time he left, only God knows what we are. But on the regular day, this man that came, he announced he has shown political will, that is serious and he meant business. And then I believe that let's give him 1 or 2 months, one month, because the economy is biting hard. The truth of the matter is the economy is biting hard, seriously. The economy is biting hard. By the time NBS releases the data for this quarter now, a number of us will be surprised. But on a regular day, we're advising that with the team that is putting up, yes, I know I've been part of some of these policies document. I've accessed some of these policy documents that are, coming up. I believe that what we just need is implementation, and this man, the president, has shown political will. See, one of those things I appreciate Olusegun Obasanjo for, why he was the president, why he was the government, was he has strong political will. And this man has also demonstrated that he has strong political will. So I believe that on a regular, let's just give him to and let's see the direction that we from his first step now. Okay. You could see that he knows what exactly to do.
All right.
And then I believe that the civil society, the Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, they should be on their toe. And the opposition should not just sleep.
Okay, please hold that thoughts. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome.
Good. Thank you for your observation from everything to start for Nigeria. I know the question that you're asking our guest speaker. My name is Bibi. Calling from
welcome.
Question now. I said no, we did. My name is Bibi. Bless you from Osako.
Welcome, Bibi.
Question. Our with the patient. Is it saying you go witness our patient now? Nigeria don't patient enough. We call for plan to enter another plan. Is it our patient? I think we go change our name now for patient. I know when you say make people be patient, at least if you have something to do for the people's life, yeah, they don't patient enough. Okay, look at money issue. How people die. Now we never hear anything. Okay, the court. You know, say our educate, we see there for court. You come again, you read person, you read your get accident. That accident never somebody go use most again. Match that person. How you go say make that person be patient? Now you answer how much we do during the time of Jonathan. How much the bag of rice? He said no, we be patient. Bag of rice is 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. But now where Buhari enter, he turn out to 30,000. For 30,000, they say no, we be patient. He enter 40, he enter 45. They say no, we be patient. This one still come now. He just remove subsidy because he pay somebody. He want to remove subsidy. He just remove it. At least because you remove subsidy, because you do something, add the poor masses what they want. Because now the poor masses is supposed to listen for you. You cannot listen for yourself. You cannot just do whatever you say. Now you go do. It's not working that way. We are declining now. The pressing us down say this government they are listening for us. If to say they are listening for us, why they don't put a place? Many people now they don't quit their job. Many people when they work out, when they pay 20,000. Can imagine you they go Kubana, you pay 1,000 every day go account. How much you gonna make for your salary? What school fees? School fees now? How much the salary? Now they're not even talking about farmer. They are talking about increasing their salary, increasing president salary, increasing senator salary, increasing civil servant salary. What of the poor masses? What of people when they are not working for government? They go put for that voter where you go monitor everything. Where anything where you reach for farmer, they go sweep for the company and not go allow to listen for us. Now our president listen for us because God will ask a question. The people that are put for your hand, how you say rule them, how you say control them. People they are dying, we are crying. They don't know who's the patient. Which can be patient? How much is it go to the fire? Okay, look at the police station now. Fire don't increase. From a dog state now 250. Now you say no with the patient. Patient for what? This job when they say go open the finally up to now he don't open it. He never open it. If we come now say now what are they go take place? What Nigeria will do? You go continue to tell Nigeria be patient. What I want to tell our president, all this money where they cover, may he put up for fuel or may he take our open the finally for common man so that we go not say what he do now it is not
okay, thank you so much, Bibi Blessing. Thank you very much for your submission. Have a very lovely day. Prof, you just heard Bibi Blessing, a Nigerian there lamenting the hardship and proffering solutions, saying, look, it's not enough to say let's be patient, let's use the money's recovered. The federal government has said in the last 4 weeks they've been able to save 400 billion from subsidy, non-payment of subsidy. And she's saying, well, let's have our refineries working to be able to, make the prices of PMS go down. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, see, we have been singing the same song for a long time now. That we should fix our refinery, we should fix our refinery. But I think if we have more private players like Dangote in the refinery, it will be better off because see, the entire NNPC Limited or their structure, to mean that's one of the headquarters of corruption in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, even the subsidy regime, the subsidy scheme that they said they were paying before, some of us have, we began to think that is it true? Is it real? Because at the point they said they were doing swap. You give them crude oil, you give the foreign nations, the refinery crude oil, they give us refined petroleum. So why are you still paying? Then at the point they said they are paying this so amount of money on this. So to me, and do you know how much government puts into refinery to fix it? They couldn't fix it. And every year they spend fortune on turnaround maintenance without refining anything. So to me, refining, NNPC refining or fixing a refinery is out of it. Let's open the space for private sector participation, such that private person will come in. One, it will create job. Dangote, one of the harms of Dangote refinery alone at the swap is engaging 29,000 Nigerians. Now. And then, so if you have more refineries that is private sector driven, we have, like in Dangote now, I understand that 40% of Nigerians have access to 40% oil refined from Dangote that will come to Nigerian market. Do is in free trade zone. At least we have access to about 40% of it. So if we have more refineries that are private sector, it will help us than focusing on the public sector refinery. That one in Nigeria, I doubt if it will work. The corruption there, like Angos Okoja said, if you want to fight corruption will fight you back. So instead of we fighting unnecessary battle, wasting on energy, distributing on unnecessary energy in fighting corruption in the what's called now in our existing refinery, let us open the space for private sector participants, and it will be driven by efficiency. What government will do is just regulate the sector, and then we're talking about diversifying our economy. If you look at the Nigerian revenue base, the projection, we have about 10 trillion naira. That's what we're expecting. And about 30% of this, about 30% is just from oil. But 90% of it, 90% of our foreign earning is from oil. But 30% of our total projection is just from oil. So what we just need to do now is to expand the external sector so that we're able to attract more foreign direct investment. When we attract more foreign direct investment to Nigeria, it will crash the Naira exchange regime. And when the Naira exchange regime is crashed based on marketing deals, not artificially backed up by CBN, the economy will grow. There will be more jobs. When there are more jobs, there will be more demand. When there are more demand, there will be more production. And all these things will have impact on inflation. Naturally, inflation will come down. Unlike the mandate system that we're trying to do, inducing, and then there's no coordination between. One of the major challenges of Buhari administration was that there was no proper policy coordination. The monetary policy will be going this way, fiscal policy authority will be going this way, and there must be convergence between the two of them. Monetary policy, they said they want to fight the inflation, and at the same time, those that want to fight inflation, they are not printing money through the ways and means. Unnecessarily. And then the government, in terms of expenditure, in terms of government was reckless in its expenditure, without investing in revenue outlets. So these are things, proper policy coordination. And one of the challenges of that is that Buhari, who was the president then, does not know little or nothing about economy. The current president now is a market player. So I believe that you shouldn't have the problem of the previous administration in terms of policy coordination. But for Nigeria, what we need to do is to keep on putting pressure through the civil society, through advocacy like this, on the government to let them know that this time around, the past administration blamed Goodluck Jonathan for 8 years. Okay. This time around, we know that the last administration failed. That's why you manage to come on board. You must service the situation.
All right, it's a good place to leave the conversation. Thank you so much, Professor Adedoyin LAWAL, a research professor of economics, Bowen University, Iwo, Osun State, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. We really, really appreciate your time and thoughts.
Thank you.
All right, if you missed any part of the conversation, head on down to YouTube and Facebook, search for Eagles FM Abuja, and you can rewatch the conversation and be a part of it as well. You can leave a comment there. I really apologize if I couldn't take your thoughts. Tomorrow we'll do the same, have more thoughts in. Thank you again. My name is Iheanacho Prince. Business News is up next. Right after that, the Midday Extra Show.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.